it's Nicole from Modern Handcraft, and today I'm going to teach you how to take simple clothesline rope and turn it into an amazing rope bowl. Let's get started. The materials needed for this project are clothesline. I prefer to go with a natural cotton 3/16 by 100 foot, and be sure to take the time to wind this into a ball. If you start with the way it's situated, you will end up with a tangled mess. Go with a natural color cotton thread, and if you want to add some fabric, I find that 1-inch wide strips work best. You also want to have a sewing machine that has the capability of doing a zigzag stitch. Once you've got your correct thread color loaded, I like to use a natural shade that's very similar to my rope I'm using, and I like to go with a wide zigzag stitch. So choose your zigzag stitch and make it as wide as you like. There's usually a little plastic end piece starting on the end of your rope, so just trim that off, and then we're going to make a coil. So you just tightly coil your rope, and I like to go about 1 inch wide across the coil. So that will be good to start with. We're going to take a couple of straight pins and carefully go through the middle just to secure this in place to get our zigzag stitches started. Be sure not to go through your finger. All right, at your machine, put your foot down, and I'm just going to go back and forth in an X shape a few times. And reverse. So you can see I've gone just one direction. I'm going to spin this and do the other way, back and forth a few times. At this point, you can take out your needles too. And reverse. You can take this out and kind of move it around a little bit. You might even want to go a few more times, just kind of back and forth. And this is why I like to use the natural thread color, because it's really going to blend in and you're not going to be able to tell how you're securing your beginning. But this is one of the important steps to make sure your base is strong. Take a look. So I've gone back and forth. Looks pretty strong. Now we can get started. When I start my coil, I like to have my ball of rope here, and then keep my rope to this side. Whatever side you feel more comfortable on, I just feel like it's easier to maneuver the twisting at the beginning this direction. You're going to place your needle right in this area here between these two ropes, and that's kind of where you're going to aim your needle, because since you have your zigzag going, that's going to make sure it's even on both sides and it will catch both sides of the rope. So go ahead, and where your last point is connected, put your needle down, and we're going to start our zigzag. And as you go around, it's going to be a little bit more tedious at the beginning, but just twist your rope as you go. Take this out and show you guys what this looks like. So as you can see, using the natural thread, it kind of blends together. And another nice thing is these are very forgiving. So let's say you kind of have a spot right here. There's one where it didn't really connect. I kind of got off track. It's so easy to go back and just fill in that spot with some zigzag stitches and connect it and just trim the loose threads. It's a very forgiving project. Now that we have a good coil started, we can start to add some fun pieces of fabric into the mix to add some pop of color. This is a great project for scraps because all you need are 1-inch strips. And I'm actually using some leftover Liberty fabric I have that has some colors that I love. And I like how thin the Liberty fabric is too, because it makes it a little bit easier. So what you're going to do is, once you have this set up, you're going to kind of place your fabric at an angle, and with the right side of the fabric up, and you're going to tuck in that little corner here and start to wrap. And I usually get a couple of inches going before I start sewing, and you're just going to pull and wrap this around your rope. Okay, we have enough to get started. So continue your zigzag. When you get close to where the end of your rope, the fabric is wrapping around, you start to wrap some more. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna just stitch together. There'll be some little spots that fold over. Just try to keep it as straight as you can. We're really going for more of the colors of the fabric and not really the pattern. So it could even be a fabric that you really don't care for the pattern too much. It could be the colors that you love, and that's all that matters. And when you get to the end, just kind of tuck this in. And any fabric that is left sticking out, we'll just trim that up at the end. And then as you go around working on the base of your bowl, you can just go wrap a few more plain rope areas around and then just add pops of color with the fabric as you work on your project. Now that we have a good base size for our bowl, this measures about 8 inches across, and I've got a few rows of the colorful fabric, we're going to start to add the curved part of our bowl. And to do that, you're going to continue stitching in the same manner, doing the zigzag, connecting the two pieces of rope, but you're going to take the flat part and fold it up against the side of your machine. You're going to continue holding the side here for pretty much the rest of the bowl shape. It'll give a nice curved look. So I'll sew a few more lines and kind of show you how the curve begins to start. You will start to run out of bobbin thread pretty quickly because you are doing a zigzag stitch and that just burns through your thread. It's always a good time when you do run out of bobbin thread to take your project out, especially before you get your curve going too much, and go back and inspect any areas that have opening spots. So you can see how the light goes through these two spots. It's a good time to go in and patch those up. Just do a zigzag stitch, making sure you connect the two spots. And whenever you start your thread back up, just do a back stitch with your zigzag to get started, and it'll just seamlessly go back together. With the natural color thread, you will not even see where you have double stitching. We are about halfway through our ball of rope, and we're getting a really nice bowl shape, again by continuing to hold this while we sew. Some issues you might run into when you're making your project is you might actually want to make a larger bowl and you run out of rope. So I'm going to show you really quick how to connect a new piece of rope by just cutting this and adding the end in. So you're going to go all the way to the end of your piece of rope here. And I'll show you what this is going to look like. So you're going to have this just end of piece of rope here. What you're going to do is you're going to take a new end piece, put it right up against this, and you're going to take a straight pin and just pin this straight down to where it looks like it's connecting. You might do a couple of them just to keep it in line really well. So just have that go right through there. So back at your machine, you're just going to go back a little ways, continue to zigzag stitch, and you're going to go back and forth a couple of times over this new area. Then once you add some more rows, take your bowl back out and kind of zigzag stitch over this area, and it'll blend in really nicely. So at your machine, go ahead and lower your foot, and let's do a zigzag stitch over that new area. Okay, we've connected the new part. We're gonna back up. Go back over it. And I will show you how well the connection went. And now you can see where this is connected, and then we'll go back over and zigzag stitch a little bit just to hide this area. When you get to the end of your project, there's a few different ways you can finish off your rope bowl. You can go through and stitch and leave a raw edge here. You can stitch all the way to the end and cover with a piece of felt or leather, or you could even tuck this under and then stitch and have a cute little loop here. Totally your preference. I'm going to just go ahead and stitch all the way through on mine and then possibly cover up with a piece of leather at a later date. When you get to the end, just backstitch. And we've got a finished piece. Thanks again for stopping by to make today's project. Be sure and subscribe to this page so you'll be the first to know about upcoming sewing projects. Also, for more sewing inspiration and free tutorials, visit my website at modernhandcraft.com.